All right, all right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Break It Up, the show where we take a topic, any topic, dig in and break it up. And joining me tonight is my co-host extraordinaire. The doctor once again is in the house. Dr. Bell, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Good evening. How you doing, sir?
Oh man, I'm doing well. I ain't making no fuss about it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Good to be here on this evening, man. As always.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And of course, as always, it's good to have you back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So the topic we are going to be talking about tonight, I'll tell you what, before I actually say it. So I was actually trying to look for, I would say something different because I realized, I said, man, the last couple of things we talked about had something to do with church or Christianity or something more spiritual focused. And I said, you know what, let me just, kind of look around, see what else is going on, see if there's something else we could, talk about. And as soon as I started my search, the first story that came up was the one we're going to be talking about tonight. I said, God dog it. I said, we got to talk about it.
Right.
We got to. And that topic being about how an anti-ICE mob stormed a Minnesota church yesterday to target the pastor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, this is about on the same lines of what we've been dealing with. Pastors being hit and killed and attacked and folks just going up in churches and just targeting the leadership.
Exactly. Now, the one thing I will say, you know what, that's good. I hadn't even connected those pieces of the puzzle together. The one good thing I can say about this particular situation is that at least the pastor wasn't physically harmed or taken out.
Yes.
It was more they were trying to target him to destroy his character and besmirch him like that.
Yes, man.
But so I'm gonna read a little bit of this. Then we actually got a couple of videos we can watch. So children terrified. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
I was just saying, yes, man.
Oh, okay. So children terrified as anti-ICE, ICE mob storms a Minnesota church to target pastor. Despicable. The Department of Justice says it is investigating an anti-ICE protest after demonstrators busted into a St. Paul church, interrupted Sunday morning services, and accused one of the pastors of working with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. In live stream video footage from former CNN anchor Don Lemon, about 30 protesters with the Racial Justice Network stormed into City's church yelling, "Hands up, don't shoot, and ICE out." Okay, if you're sitting in a church and you got a bunch of strangers, because of course most churches you're familiar with the people who patronize it. You get a group of people running in there that usually don't come, shouting, "Hands up, don't shoot." What would probably be your natural bodily reaction?
Shocked or just paralyzed, just what's going on, right?
Exactly. I would do exactly that. Like I said, you got a group of strangers rushing up in here, disrupting the service, shouting, "Hands up, don't shoot." Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is throw my hands up because all I'm gonna hear is hands up and the word shoot. Hey, we don't know these jokers running up in here, if they got concealed weapons or what they about to do.
Yes, sir.
So
correct.
Yeah, so I can this headline here, children terrified. Oh, I'm quite sure the children ain't the only ones that were terrified. Yeah, I'm sure there was a large group of the adults who also terrified.
That's right.
Okay.
In fact, some of them might have been terrified for their children. More so than themselves.
Absolutely. So these are, again, anti-ICE protesters and demonstrators. So the first thing I did once I came across this was looked into protests, because you are supposed to organize them in a legal fashion. So let me go here And let me share this. Okay. So I typed in, do you need a permit to protest in Minnesota? And so the answer came back, in Minnesota, you generally don't need a permit for peaceful protest on public sidewalks or streets, as long as you don't block traffic or pedestrians. But permits are usually required for large events, marches that close streets using sound amplification like megaphones, or using city parks, or plazas for rallies, with rules varying by city, like St. Paul, Minnesota. Permits can't be denied for unpopular views, but you must comply with reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions for public safety and traffic control. And blocking traffic or private property without consent is illegal and can lead to arrest. Okay. So it's saying that even though the stipulations might vary from city to city, you don't need a permit for peaceful protests on public sidewalks or streets as long as you don't block traffic or pedestrians. Well, these protesters, this is the first part where they messed up at, because that church is not and was not a public sidewalk or street.
Right. That's right. Yes, sir.
So that's the first mess up they did. So I said, oh, okay, let's probe a little deeper. Are protests allowed inside of churches in Minnesota? And here's the answer I got back. No. Disruptive protests inside a church in Minnesota or anywhere are generally not protected and can lead to federal investigation and charges under laws like the Freedom of Access to Clinic Interests, or the FACE Act, which protects people exercising religious freedom at houses of worship, as seen in a recent event where activists disrupted a service targeting an ICE official, making the church a private space where owners can demand you leave. While free speech is protected in public forums, churches are private property, and federal law prohibits interfering with religious worship, meaning actions like chanting or blocking services can be illegal. Okay, yes. So this is the second part where these protesters messed up.
They were out of order. Yeah.
They were completely and totally out of order according to Minnesota state law. Key points: private property. Churches are private property, not public forums. So property owners or those authorized can ask you to leave, and staying can be trespassing. The FACE Act. This federal law prohibits using force, threats, or physical obstruction to injure, intimidate, or interfere with people exercising their religious freedom at a place of worship, leading to potential federal prosecution. Recent incident: a protest disrupted at a St. Paul, Minnesota church service, the exact one we're talking about, prompting the Department of Justice to announce an investigation into potential federal civil rights violation, citing the FACE Act. Illegal acts: violence, vandalism, or actions that physically obstruct or intimidate worshipers are illegal, regardless of the location, says the ACLU of Minnesota and the Freedom Forum. So in short, while peaceful expression is generally protected, entering a church and disrupting worship services crosses legal lines and is not protected speech under these circumstances. So, like you said a minute ago, by every facet, by natural Minnesota state law, by federal law and regulation, and then of course by the principles and the commandments that dictate believers being able to come together and worship, these protesters violated each and every one of them. Okay, they violated everywhere.
Yes, sir.
And don't try to use this excuse, oh well, we were coming because, ICE officials. Okay, that is totally and completely irregardless of why y'all coming in there.
Right.
You got a problem with one of the people in that church, and because they're affiliated with ICE, you go through the legal channels to take care of that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if nothing else, okay, at the very least amount of leeway I'm gonna give these people, because unfortunately, they still have rights to do this dumb mess. Do exactly like what the explanation said. Okay, stay outside of the house of worship.
Yes, sir.
But y'all running up in there while the service is already going on, yelling, hands up, don't shoot, ICE out. Oh no, that was straight disruption.
Right.
That was straight.
Okay, now who was saying don't shoot?
That's what the protesters were yelling.
Okay. Hold your hands up. Don't shoot. So I'm assuming they thought people in the church had guns.
I'm thinking the reason why they said that was to let the people in the church know that they didn't intend to shoot.
Oh, okay.
In other words, in almost trying to use the whole don't shoot thing as their possible excuse of why they didn't do anything wrong.
Oh.
So yeah, we came in there yelling, hands up, don't shoot, ICE out. Okay, it don't matter how y'all came up in there and what you were yelling. The fact that
still out of order, you're still out of line. You were not in alignment with the laws. Yeah, you wasn't in line with the law.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You were still in violation.
Yeah. You were still in violation. And you know what? These people, okay, they couldn't care less about being especially in alignment with a Christian house of worship. They could not care less.
Yeah.
Because what you find with a lot of these people who ally with these certain beliefs and ideologies, a lot of times, not going to say all of them all the time, but a lot of times, okay, these people, they don't get down with religion at all, especially Christianity.
Right.
So, in other words, they knew exactly what the heck they were doing. They intended to disrupt this service and do what they did and cause these people to be scared and panic. So, right off the top, me personally, the Department of Justice, okay, yeah, I understand you all have the legal process. You have to go through, gather all the evidence and things. Thankfully, enough of these clowns, and I'm sure a lot of the actual parishioners of that church, as you can see with different people, that's all you see is smartphones all over the place. It was being recorded. Tell whoever has a recording about it, which of course is how most of us outside of this place found out about it, because there's videos about this all over social media.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Examine all of it, and thankfully you have faces. You have plenty of faces of these people.
Right.
And begin the process of arrest and then prosecution.
Yes, sir.
Because it was straight breaking the law. But let's check out this video.
Well, anti-ICE demonstrators disrupted a Minneapolis church service on Sunday. They entered the sanctuary of City's Church, a Southern Baptist congregation, and began chanting just as the service began. Protesters claim that a church leader is also an ICE official in the St. Paul field office. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon posted the incident is under investigation for potential violations of the Federal FACE Act, including, quote, desecrating the house of worship and interfering with Christian worshipers. Gordon?
Well, this is definitely crossing a line where you come in with an ICE protest to a Baptist church and begin chanting and disrupting the service. It also shows there's obvious coordination on these protests, and they're designed to be a stunt. They're designed to be a publicity event. And that coordination, who are members of ICE, let's start targeting them and targeting them with these protests. We've seen it from the left before, all the way back to Proposition 8 in California. Anyone who contributed money to that was then blacklisted, and you couldn't get a job anymore in Hollywood. You couldn't get a job anymore in Silicon Valley. All kinds of blowback happened because you wanted to stand for traditional marriage. Well, now we're seeing with ICE, and there's it just justifies why they're wearing these masks and trying to keep their identities secret. If your own civilian population is then going to target you for retribution, well, what else are you supposed to do? We're a nation of laws, and in that nation of laws, there are laws against illegal immigration. That's why we call it illegal immigration.
Mm-hmm.
And in enforcing those laws, we can't expect the illegal immigrant to willingly say, well, I'll just pack up and leave, and sorry that I broke the law. We've deported over 500,000 people in just a few months, 12 months. And it's now into stages where, am I uncomfortable with some of the tactics of ICE? Yes. Did ICE invade a church service in North Carolina? Yes. But I don't like it when the protest movement says we're going to do the same thing, and we're now going to target
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there with what he said about ICE invading a church service in North Carolina. I wish he would have gone a little farther with that, because I've seen other videos, that, including actual prophets and pastors over particular ministries, talking about the same thing. That is because a lot of these churches are willingly and knowingly housing and hiding illegal immigrants in the church. And they're trying to use the whole separation of church and state angle to say, oh, because you all are federal officials, you're not allowed to come in here and get illegal immigrants. Well, okay, if you as a U.S. citizen don't want to comply with U.S. laws and give us names and willingly turn them over, I mean, what no other choice do we have? And another thing I want to point out, okay, ICE are federally regulated authorities. Protesters are not.
Correct.
So, like I said, I just wanted to throw that in there right quick and say, you know, I wish he would have gone a little further with that explanation. And okay, again, we know the largest part of this problem happened with the last administration that was in office before Donald Trump got voted in. Okay, these people made no bones about the fact, didn't even try to hide it, that they had essentially opened the door to the United States and said, hey, any and everybody, come on in.
Right.
I mean, I remember seeing videos of illegals come riding. These jokers were sitting on top of trains.
Yeah. Wow.
Sitting on top of trains, which I'm like, okay, well, on the one hand, I mean, I got to admire your determination. If you're willing to put your life in danger like that, sitting on top of a goddamn speeding train. But on the other hand, it was totally and completely illegal. There are reasons behind all of that, why that was done. I don't want to derail, the focus of this whole topic, but it was planned. It was all planned, and you have to know it was planned by some behind the scenes movers and shakers. Otherwise, it would not have been allowed to happen.
Right.
If the government really did not want these people who, again, by admission, a lot of them, convicted murderers, convicted sex offenders, convicted PDFs, which is short for people who do illegal and wrong things to kids. And I mean, it was known a lot of countries were just opening up their prisons and sending them up here.
Wow.
I mean, yes, on the one hand, I can understand people's wanting to have a better life. On the other hand, if you are a criminal in your own country, why would we not believe that you
over here? Yeah,
exactly. And even if you say served your time, you paid your debt back to society. Well, okay, good. Thank you. Fantastic. But then you still have that other hurdle to where it comes to this country, the United States. There is still a legal process for you to move, live here, and receive benefits legally.
Yes, sir.
And so many balls were dropped again in doing that.
Wow.
And you have U.S. citizens like these protesters. You have like many people in state and federal governments sitting there making excuses as to why they were purposely not following United States laws when it came to these illegal people. And a lot of instances actually treating them better than U.S. citizens.
Yes, sir.
And that's also one of the reasons I believe, which I'm sure this is the reason why a lot of people, let's just say certain ethnic demographics who for the longest time didn't want anything to do with Republicans, why over the past year and some change, you've seen those demographics start to tilt and shift a bit.
Right.
They are coming to the Republican Party by droves because see, unfortunately, they got hit in the pocket. There are a lot of these programs that were set up that used to benefit them. Well, the benefits were snatched away from them and then given to illegal immigrants. By the same party, you know, who they swear was so for them and always for them. Okay, well, you know, rude, comfortable, however the awakening has to come, as long as the awakening comes.
Yes, sir.
And I ain't about to sit here and say that, you know, honestly, one party is that much better than the other one. Okay, I always say left wing, right wing, still attached to the same bird. So
correct.
All right, but yeah, shoot, what you got for us, Doc?
Nothing at the moment, sir.
Oh, cool. You say I said it all, huh?
That's good. Good information, man.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and finish. I think there's only a little bit left in this video. Then we'll go over to another site and check their video about this.
Individuals whose employment is with the federal government and with ICE. That's not a culture that we need to in any way encourage. That
absolutely not
happening. It shouldn't be happening right here in the United States.
Absolutely not. And he is so correct. I saw a post on, I want to say it was X yesterday, to where you now have people trying out there encouraging other people like these protesters. They're like, yeah, find out who these ICE agents, find out who their children are and where their children go to school.
Oh, for real?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir. These people, man, look, a lot of people are past the point of being unhinged. That is straight demonic activity.
Yeah, so they go after their children.
So going after the children, because as he said, you know, the ICE agents wear these particular masks that cover their identity. But I mean, it's just natural. A lot of people just happen to know who's an ICE agent because, you know, they might be friends or neighbors, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, you have these truly mentally unstable people out here encouraging others that, yeah, if you know who their children are, you know, put it out there so, you know, we'll know who their children are so we can target them instead.
Wow. Yeah, that's messed up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Completely and totally unhinged, man. Like I said, that is just straight demonic.
Yes, sir.
That is straight demonic. Okay, that's no better than you read about these ancient civilizations that God was always telling his chosen people, the Israelites, not to mingle with them, don't take on these people's customs.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of times, what was one of those customs that a lot of those civilizations and cultures had? Child sacrifice.
Yes, sir.
Which is why God said a specific commandment that, you know, you shall not cause your children to pass through the fire. That's exactly what he was talking about. These people were literally burning and sacrificing their children.
Yeah.
And now here we go, some thousands of years later. And like I said, you got people online encouraging and trying to pump up other people to target people's children now. They're thinking, okay, well, since they wear masks and we can't get to them, we'll just get to the children, which again shows the level of stupidity of these people. Because if you can find out who their children are, you can find out who the parent is.
Correct.
But even with that, okay, you shouldn't be targeting them either.
Correct. So it's still a form of fire. It's still a form of going by the fire. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's read a little bit more of this article. So, according to Fox 9, the group went to the church, which is affiliated with the Southern Baptist Convention.
Of all churches, the Southern Baptist.
Oh yeah, we're well acquainted with that SBC, but
yes, boy.
Yes, sir. To confront a man named David Easterwood. He is one of the pastors at the church, but also allegedly an active field officer director for ICE in Minnesota. So, all right, they didn't even say for sure. It says allegedly.
Allegedly. So they're going by hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
So they bust up in the church by hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of getting their facts together.
Exactly. And my thing is, okay, again, even if that's so, that still does not give you people right nor cause to disrupt a church service.
Yeah.
Like we said, there's you want to protest this guy in ICE and what they do. Okay, there's legal ways to do it.
The sidewalk and everywhere else. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, they were trying to prove a specific point by doing exactly what they did.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say, because of the times and the day we're living in, things like this. Oh yeah, they're gonna become. Matter of fact, we know that they must have been more common. Because let me get back here to one of these definitions we read. Yeah, here we go. Because of this particular act that had to be created,
the FACE Act.
Yep, for the FACE Act, for things just like that. So again, yeah, the federal law prohibits using force, threats, physical obstruction to injure, intimidate, or interfere with people exercising their religious freedom at a place of worship, leading to potential federal prosecution. I came across another video on X when I was researching this topic, and on that podcast, the host was saying that this particular act came about because after the freeing of slaves, when blacks were now able to get together and build and form their own churches, their own businesses, okay, when the KKK got instituted, they would do stuff exactly like what these protesters were doing. It was a fear and intimidation tactic to keep them from gathering together. Yep. Yes, sir. All right. So, public records reveal that Easterwood is listed as a defendant in a January 12th lawsuit filed by the state of Minnesota to stop ICE operations that led to the confrontation between Good and ICE agents, the Union Bulletin reports. In a Facebook post, protesters said they went to the church to demand justice for Renee Good and informed the congregation of what they described as their pastor's double-mindedness when it comes to the word of God and not loving thy neighbor with his work as a field director for ICE. Okay. You notice people like this
always
only ever
scripture.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other time they couldn't care less about God or anything like that.
All right.
But if they think they can use the word of God to further their own means and ends, oh well, then all of a sudden, they're good to go. Yeah, they're all deep and spiritual with it.
Right. And by that they say this cannot be a house of God while harboring someone directing ICE agent.
Yeah, to wreak havoc on our community.
On the community.
Okay, yeah, and exactly. This man is a pastor there. Unlike these illegal immigrants that these protesters are so in love with, so to speak. They aren't harboring this man. He's a pastor there. They're not harboring him. He's free. He comes and goes, as freely as he wants to, obviously. and they're not wreaking havoc and he is not wreaking havoc on the community. They aren't wreaking havoc on the community.
Correct.
And they don't realize the hypocrisy here with what they did, but then want to sit there and lecture these people about wreaking
Right.
havoc. What do you all think you're doing coming up in this church during our service? Okay. Attorney Nakima Levy Armstrong told Lemon during his live stream explaining why the group was at the church. I am a reverend on top of being a lawyer and an activist. So I come here in the power of Almighty God. No, sir.
Nah. I was reading that. I was like, what?
No. Okay, you may be a reverend. Are you a reverend at this particular church?
Correct.
So then no. And okay, on top of being a lawyer and an activist, well, all right. Well,
You should have known the laws.
I was just about to say, matter of fact, go and speak on it, sir, because I was literally just about to say
you
that.
should know the laws. You say you're a lawyer and an activist. Look, you should know the laws by being a lawyer. Not need to go up in there like that. You knew.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was, like I said, literally about to say that same thing. Okay, if you're a reverend, I would hope at the very least you know biblical laws.
Right.
But then on top of that, like you said, yeah, as being a lawyer, okay, you're darn sure ought to know actual.
That's right. The laws of Minnesota, the layout. You should know the laws of all states.
Exactly. Now, I know a lot of times because of state to state, different laws may vary. But yeah, okay, at the very least, no, you need to know Minnesota state law. It wouldn't surprise me if this guy is probably the one that pumped up the rest of this group to even do that.
Right.
So you think just because you talking about you come here in the name of Almighty God, do you know how many dictators, anarchists, straight up murderers have said this same thing throughout history, that whatever they're doing in the name of God?
Correct.
That's actually the reason why a lot of people want nothing to do with Christianity or the kingdom of God, because they study history and be like, okay, yeah, this clown, took out entire countries and civilizations all in the name of God.
Correct.
So
why would we want to have anything to do with you?
Exactly. So it just so happened that the guy that they came there to so-called expose and protest wasn't even at Sunday service. However, the church's lead pastor, Jonathan Parnell, said the disruptive display was shameful. We have asked them to leave, and they have obviously not left, Parnell told Lemon. This is unacceptable. This is shameful. It is shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. Exactly.
Correct.
They broke the law. There is a constitution. There is a First Amendment of freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest. Lemon replied, yes, sir. There is a constitution. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequence of that speech. I don't know why a lot of these people who always want to bring up the First Amendment, this freedom of speech, they don't seem to realize that second part. Okay, yeah, you do have freedom of speech in a lot of places to say whatever you want. And there is freedom to assemble and protest. However, there are consequences to both of them.
Yes, sir.
Especially when you do them unlawfully, like you all did by stepping foot in this church. You wanted to assemble and protest, you should have got the permit for it and done it outside of the church.
Yes, sir.
Still don't, again, personally don't make it right to me, but at least you would have been within the confines of the law. We are here to worship Jesus, Parnell responded. That is the hope of these cities. That is the hope of the world, is Jesus Christ. The pastor then asked Lemon, who is this ex-CNN reporter, to leave if he was not there to worship, which they weren't.
No, they weren't.
The Department of Justice is investigating the incident for potential violations of civil rights laws, including violations of the FACE Act, which prohibits the use of force to prevent people from exercising First Amendment rights at a place of worship. A house of worship is not a public forum for your protest. It is a space protected from exactly such acts by federal criminal and civil laws. Exactly. Nor does the First Amendment protect your pseudo-journalism of disrupting a prayer service, wrote Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the Department of Justice on X. You are on notice.
You're on notice.
Okay, good. Good. So finishes up here by saying the Department of Homeland Security reposted one of the videos of the protest on X, writing, agitators aren't just targeting our officers. Now they're targeting our churches too. They're going from hotel to hotel, church to church, hunting for federal law enforcement who are risking their lives to protect Americans.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, hunting. Don't say any of this mess. It is peaceful or whatever. You're purposely out there hunting down federal law officials.
Come on.
No, absolutely not. And it's absolutely right. And I want to go back to what this says, the first letter or this paragraph right here about a house of worship not being a public forum for your protest. Do you remember a couple of months back we were doing the episode about why church attendance is going down?
Why people are leaving the church? Yeah,
right. Why people are leaving the churches? Why they're going to be shutting down? And one of the points that was brought up in the video that we watched dealing with that is a lot of people are by people, the parishioners, the people who attend and these houses of worship, they are sick and tired of the political mess. They are tired of hearing the church leaders pump up one political party, put down the other, and vice versa.
Yes, sir.
They say we are not coming here to hear that crap. We can hear that Monday through Saturday, literally everywhere.
Yes, sir.
We are coming to worship together and learn about the word of God.
Yes, sir.
And it was during that one that I said, yes, a church I used to attend would do that same thing. During election times, they would allow, get this now, Democratic candidates to come in during service time.
Church services,
during church service and make their spiel. And a lot of people, including myself, had a problem with that.
Yeah.
Me more so, because when I confronted the pastor about that place, I said, first of all, I don't think it's right you're even allowing people to come in here and do their political pitch and spill up in here. I said, but second of all, I noticed something. I said, you only allow Democrat candidates to come in here and do that, but you don't allow any Republican candidates to come in here. I'm like, you don't see a problem with that? I said, the reason why we have a problem with this because you are obviously and purposely trying to sway people into thinking and voting for a certain political party.
Correct.
Which it shouldn't even be being done in here to begin with.
Correct.
So absolutely, it is not a public forum for your protest.
It out. If you're gonna do it, balance it out. Have both come in. Have one come in, and have the other one come in. If you're gonna do it.
Not only that, but if you're gonna do it, you do it at a time outside of the time we come together to this place for worship service.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Now, if you want to open up this place and allow it, okay, hey, fine. We're in the Bible Belt. Okay, we're in the Deep South. One place you expect to be able to find a lot of people in large groups, people congregating, is at churches, but not during worship service time.
Correct.
So yeah, if you're going to open up, have it open up. Matter of fact, and not just the two. Okay, you need to open it up for other people because you have independent candidates that run independent. They're not Republican, nor are they the Democrat. So you have to make this thing fair if you want to open up that can of worms.
That's right. Correct.
Got to make it fair for everybody.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But what was his response? What was his response when you said that?
Oh, well, the reason that he does that is because that particular party representative, again, Democrats, they've shown that they're usually more for the black community than Republicans are. Now, bro, you know how I am. You know who my mom was.
Yeah, buddy.
I am the wrong doggone person to say some idiocy like that.
Right.
Okay, because my parents know it, you didn't make a blanket statement like that. You had better read and research and provide receipts. And I'm like, you know what? For you to be somebody who's old enough to be my dad's age and to say something so profoundly idiotic, it's beyond me.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you do know that the men who gathered together to form the KKK were card-carrying Democrats, right? You do know that the landowners and plantation owners during that time were Democrats, right? You do know so many other instances of people of the political party who did more, so I would say more damage to not just the blacks, to any not non-white wealthy citizens were Democrats, right? And you do know when blacks were first awarded, speaking of rights and freedoms, when they were first given the rights and freedoms to vote, overwhelmingly they voted Republican.
Right.
A lot of our famous black figures, first one is pops off my head because I've done a lot of reading about him. Frederick Douglass was a Republican. He was friends with Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, sir.
And I'm like, you're going to stand here and say some ridiculous mess like that. Talking about, oh, this party has always been more for, but again, here in the South, here in South Carolina, of all places.
Right.
And you're going to say something like that.
Down in the woods too?
Down in the woods, down in a town where they are still plantation houses.
Yeah.
I mean the original plantation houses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what he told us. That's why he allows these Democratic representatives to come in.
And isn't there a church right there down on the corner?
There's 3 of them right there on that corner. Yeah. There's one at the front of the road, and then you go down a little bit. There's another one. And you go down a little bit. Yeah.
I'm thinking about the first one in the little the white building. Wasn't that like a church back in the day where the black folks sat upstairs?
Sure was.
That's what I thought.
Yes, sir.
And you right down the street from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I thought, man. Lord have mercy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So the last video we're going to look at is right here on the foxnews.com website. And it says anti-ICE mob storms Minnesota church over pastors, again, alleged ties to immigration enforcement.
So this has happened more than once.
No, this is the same story. It's just from a different site. Yeah. Well, you know what? I guess it was prophetic what you said just now, because like we already said, oh yeah, this definitely ain't gonna be the last time.
No, I don't think this is the last time. I didn't know if this is the first time.
Well, this is the first one that I know of, okay, as far as protesters doing something like this, because remember the other video did mention that ICE themselves went into that church in North Carolina.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a listen to what they talking about.
Anti-ICE agitators are protesting again in Minneapolis as the DOJ investigates Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey for allegedly impeding ICE operations.
If you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record. help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans.
And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here.
And now Fox News has told DHS agents with rumors.
I guess he told them.
Now, these are the elected officials of the state of Minneapolis, and this is what they're telling them.
Yeah.
Now, there's a whole other story. Matter of fact, we might do that one next week. When it deals with Minnesota specifically, and a lot of their Somalian residents, and $1 billion scheme and fraud that they've had going on there. So again, my personal view that's probably why these guys, these reps, are telling ICE to get out of there. They don't want them caught, because as with everything, especially when it deals with the government, it comes back down to the cha-ching, the money, in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It would be a beautiful world if we can honestly believe that there was really an abundance of our elected officials and politicians that actually care about the citizens.
Right.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we live here in the real world. Okay.
Correct. Correct.
And it usually doubles right back to money. And of course, not money for the regular citizens like you and me. No, the money for the big movers and shakers. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Downtown Doubletree Hotel have received notice that it will close due to threats the staff was receiving for lodging immigration agents. The loving and tolerant left at it again. Joining us now from Minneapolis is Border Patrol Commander, the great Gregory Bavino. Greg, thank you so much for being with us. I'm sorry of everything that you've had to go through, and I'm deeply sorry that you have to deal with all this. But we've learned that one of your staff members was just evicted from that Doubletree Hotel. What more can you tell us about this?
Well, Tommy and everyone, it's good to see you. Thanks for having me. I received word last night from Border Patrol agents, and it's more than one staff member. It's Border Patrol and ICE, well over a dozen. They received word at that Doubletree, as well as the Intercontinental Motel, which is close by, that they needed to be out by noon today. And the messaging given to our agents was very inconsistent. No reason given, just that you needed to be out. So I had some quick thinking staff, Tommy, and we made a call to the Doubletree, and they were still accepting reservations last night after they gave that letter to the Border Patrol and ICE agents that they needed to depart. So a lot of inconsistencies and questions there.
Yeah, I just want to follow up real quick on that, Greg, because we saw
So
what
they were
Bill
dismissing
posted
people?
about these events.
They were dismissing the ICE agents
Yeah,
and
that's
Border
what I'm
Patrol.
saying.
Yeah,
ICE and people. Yeah.
For no other reason than the fact that they knew they were ICE agents and Border Patrol.
Yeah.
So these hotels, and I would definitely make note of whoever these two hotels were. And I'm like, okay, if you all cannot provide us actual legit reason of why you're telling us that we need to be gone, okay, then the next thing you'll be talking to our lawyers.
Yeah.
We've already paid, okay, not only a legit reason, but you're going to give a full refund.
Correct.
Because they're worried about, again, these so-called peaceful protesters, and they're the ones always beating people up, running up in churches, and attempting to unalive people.
Yes. Correct.
But they're supposed to be so peaceful, and their excuse is always, oh, well, we're doing it for the greater good. Okay, you're scaring people, you're intimidating people, and you're trying to kill people, and somehow in your twisted mind, you concocted all this to think that you're doing it for the greater good.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Evictions, and saying that their staff feared for their lives. They were being threatened if, they were accommodating ICE agents. Have you found that to be true? And I'm sure it's happening. I'm sure they're being harassed. We've seen, many folks being harassed. But have you heard about the hotel staff specifically being targeted?
I've not heard any indication of the hotel staff being targeted, but as you know, these anarchists are starting to go out into the streets and they are threatening American citizens. We're seeing that daily. And one other thing that we're seeing in relation to the hotels is sometimes they'll go after our tires, our vehicles, but also they go after the vehicles of anyone they think that that is even associated with ICE. And sometimes American citizens wake up to find their vehicle tires slashed, damaged, and or vandalized.
Wow.
Commander, you kind of got ahead of me there. That was what I wanted to ask you about. We've seen those videos all over social media of people showing while it's happening that people are harassing them in the parking lot of places. Maybe there's a Mexican restaurant there or something, and they see a car that's a white Tahoe and it's got Texas plates. So now all of a sudden they believe that's going to be ICE. It's kind of amazing that they're just going around randomly attacking people that way. But since you addressed it, I want to ask you about this. I saw that you were on, I believe it was our network, talking about police officers that are local in Minneapolis and kind of making.
And again, these are people who are doing this on behalf of illegal criminals. These are American citizens doing this, or U.S. citizens doing this.
Right.
Now, if one of these so-called criminals were to run up in their houses and bust them upside the head, or were to snatch their young daughter or even their young son and commit assault on them and all these things, okay, don't cry about it then.
Right.
You remember on these days when, again, I guess they're in Minnesota, they're used to that type of weather, but okay, when you're standing out in snow and sub-zero weathers, picketing, protesting, these are the actual terrorists. You heard what the man said. They're slashing people's tires, verbally threatening people, running up on them.
Yes, sir.
But again, they think they're the good guys.
Correct.
Bro, I tell you, man, you cannot make this stuff up.
An appeal to them. Have you seen any of them wanting to come join Border Patrol or come be a part of the effort rather than stay at a city like that?
Sure, it's not just the Minneapolis Police Department, but several departments have expressed an interest. How do I apply? When can I apply? They want details on that. But Minneapolis, we're hearing a lot of incidental evidence that many of them are very interested or have already joined ICE and or Border Patrol. And again, Joey, we welcome them. We welcome them with open arms. We support our law enforcement at Department of Homeland Security. So if any of them are even thinking about joining or wanting to join, again, I would be happy to meet with them personally. And we welcome them with open arms. We've got a mission to do. And I believe a lot of those police officers, that rank and file, understand what that mission is, and that's securing our cities and America.
And to wrap up on that, are you able to communicate with those local law enforcement leaders? Do you have conversations with them? Are they banned from communicating with you by the mayor? Is there any line of communication there whatsoever?
The lines of communication are more at the grassroots level. Our Border Patrol agents and ICE officers do communicate with the rank and file very well. We all see eye to eye on the ground. As far as those senior leaders, not a lot of communication with the senior leaders, but you've got the Mayor Fry there that's telling police to fight ICE and Border Patrol in the streets. So I can only imagine what those senior leaders are going through at the hands of leadership like that.
How dangerous is that? Wow.
Greg David here. First of all, thanks for standing strong, you and all those officers out there. Please stay safe. Let's go to Mayor Jacob Fry, who's defending his refusal to cooperate with immigration officials. Watch this.
And by the way, we have partnered extensively with the federal government to get the perpetrators of violent crime off our streets. And we've seen great success in doing that. We don't partner to just yank random people off the street.
Okay, and now you heard what he's saying. This is the same guy who told ICE to get the F the F up out of there. So now he's saying, oh no, matter of fact, we have partnered up to get violent criminal. Okay. But again, what was not said is in a lot of these situations, they will arrest these people, maybe hold them for 24 to 48 hours, and then guess what?
They're back out
release them
again.
right back out onto the streets.
Yeah.
If this is a violent offender, and especially an illegal violent offender, why wouldn't you want to turn them over to ICE or the Border Patrol so they can be gotten out of this country?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. And by the way, okay, I'm not saying that every one of these ICE agents is perfect, and there probably have been some that have abused their position. Probably been some Border Patrol that have abused their position. But see, it goes right back to the counter argument I make when people started 6 years ago with this whole defund the police thing because the George Floyd incident.
Yes.
So the question I would ask, okay, why defund all police? Oh, because they're targeting, they're racist. Okay, well, now we're going to go along that line of logic.
Yes,
that
sir.
line of logic. There are bigots, racist, and prejudiced people in every single career, every single job field, every single arena on this planet.
Profession, that's right.
Every single profession, okay, has somebody in it, okay, that's prejudiced.
Correct.
So, like I said, again, going by that line of logic, what that means, we would have to defund and end literally everything in society.
Wow.
Why is the target on law officials and law enforcers, police, Border Patrol, ICE? Well, why is the target on them specifically?
Right.
The reason why is because, and I know the answer. I'm sure you know the answer too. When you want to inflict or impose your will, especially if you're coming from a communist point of view, you have to weaken the structure, so to speak, the existing structure.
Yeah.
You have to remove law enforcement so that way you can have lawless cities.
Yes, sir.
Again, the past several years, we heard about gangs going into cities like this one.
Yes, sir.
Where you have these people who take this type of stance. Illegal immigrants taking over apartment buildings.
Yes, sir.
Taking over apartment buildings.
Correct.
Gangs.
Yes.
Murderers. Criminals. Stuff like that. See, people like this guy, that's what they want. You create enough instability so then you can come rolling up in there with your agenda that's going to save all the people.
Yes, sir.
And the way the law is currently set up, well, we can't have you guys getting rid of the mass criminals. Otherwise, who's going to be left to do, mass crime?
Right.
I mean, yeah, we got our own homegrown criminals that are U.S. born, but, obviously they aren't getting the job done fast enough.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
so we have to import, the rest of the world's criminals to help speed this agenda up.
Correct.
Now, I already know some people who are going to watch this and listen to it. That's crazy. That doesn't make sense. Oh, you're lying. Okay, well, then believe what you're watching with your own eyes taking place in the United States right now.
Yes, sir.
You have U.S. officials defending, not prosecuting, and not wanting to get rid of illegal criminals.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, are we crazy about that too? Is that untrue? Like I said, no. You any time of day you can look up stuff like this.
Yes, sir.
Oh man,
because they happen to look Latino or they happen to look Somali. The bottom line is, as we know, this is not about safety. It's not about crime. This is about intimidation. And in Minneapolis, we're not going to be intimidated.
So, Greg, is that an accurate description of what immigration officials are doing in the state?
No, it's not. And that's a flat out lie. Mayor Frey knows that there's many individuals being held in those jails that are not turned over to ICE or Border Patrol.
Yep, see?
Individuals that when they're released on the streets can continue to prey on Americans.
See?
So we've said from the very first day of this operation and operations across the United States, let us into those jails. Let us take those bad people off the streets before they can get out on the streets to harm Americans. They refuse. He refuses. They've always refused. And because of that, we're now, and we've said this for a year now, we're now in the communities taking those criminal illegal aliens off the streets. He doesn't seem to be able to get that through his head, but I don't think he wants to get that through his head.
Bingo.
Commander,
That's
it's
good.
Alicia Acuna. Thank you for being here. And there's a picture. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a
Oh
picture
no,
of
he gets that through his head.
Uh-huh.
He gets it through his head. But like I said, the question always boils back down to these: why are you people protecting these people?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you turn over a criminal? I mean, indisputable. Now, one of the lines of propaganda they're putting out there is, oh, in any brown person, ICE is rounding up and deporting them. No. Because remember that was one of the fear attacks that they tried to use about blacks when they really first started this with the with a lot of the Latino groups. It was, oh, you guys need to stand with us because as soon as they get all of us out of the country, you blacks are next. And again, it's so sad how many people actually fell for that and believe it. Actually are falling for that and believing it. I'm like, again, do you people ever stop to employ like 2 seconds worth of common sense? Do you really think that every single black person in this country, if that were the case, would just sit back and allow that to happen to them? Wow. Like I said, that's why it amazes me how many people fall for that propaganda.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God, they're coming to get me next. Well, are you an illegal citizen? Well, no. Well.
Right.
Then what you worried about? But again, that fear. Always say history's 2 best motivators. If you want to get people to sway your way and do whatever you want them to do. Money, of course.
Yes, sir.
You got people who will literally sell out their own mom, for the right dollar amount.
Yes.
And the second one, fear. You get people afraid enough of something and you got them just like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we saw a fantastic recent example of that 6 years ago with the whole pandemic outbreak.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of ridiculous mess they had people doing.
Yes, sir.
And some people to this day still do. So, yeah, all these things, social experiments. Social experiments. Another word for it is psyops, playing on people's mind and mentality levels.
Yes, sir.
By lies, propaganda, whatever it takes to get you to start thinking and moving the way they want you to think and move. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so that's what you do. You get these people whipped up. Well, I can tell y'all one who don't lose 1 second of sleep at night. Okay, but worrying about if some goddamn ICE agent is gonna kick in my door. Okay, all right, no.
Correct.
I like my sleep too much. I like my healthy mental state way too much.
Correct.
And Doc, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm pretty sure you feel the same way.
Sure do. Yep.
Now, don't get us wrong. Now, we know that the crap is definitely hitting the fan when it comes to this planet.
Oh yeah, we know now. Oh yeah.
Okay, on a large scale.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
But even then, okay, I ain't going to be losing sleep over it.
I'm not losing no sleep now.
No. I love my sleep absolutely too much. I ain't finna a heart attack or stroke up out of here worrying about the what ifs or the maybes.
No.
Nah.
No, sir.
No, sir.
of protesters standing together, and it actually doesn't look too disruptive at the time right now. However, our own Steve Harrigan was reporting that every time an ICE agent drives by, that they get bottles and chunks of ice thrown at them. And this week, a Biden-approved federal judge ruled that agents in Minnesota cannot use tear gas or pepper spray to disperse protesters and protect federal officers. How are agents on the ground dealing with this ruling?
Wow.
Sure. And those protesters there, we have to keep a close eye on them. I believe there were several arrests already this morning where your scene just showed there. So as far as the less lethal munitions, we are able to utilize those. There's not a blanket ban on the utilization of those. We were already using, whether it was tear gas, as you say, CS gas, pepper balls, pepper spray, we were already using that in accordance with the law. So we're going to continue to protect our officers, protect the public, protect those rioters even, believe it or not, with the use of less lethal. Folks, that's why we have less lethal. Listen to the name, less lethal. That's why we have those types of devices, because if we don't have those, then what do we resort to? So perhaps some of these judges and these leaders need to take a look at why we have less lethal munitions, what a minimum amount of force necessary that truly is.
Commander, lastly, I saw the video. You were donning what looked like a traditional overcoat. I think that would be an excellent recruiting tool if you issued that to your rank and file. But beyond that, you weren't in tactical gear. You were in a traditional, almost uniform item. You were standing in front of your agents and walking, almost marching. It was quite the moment. What was the message you were sending in that moment?
Sure. That was, that was actually Fox News's fault, because I actually had a hit coming up with Fox News. But I do like to go to that federal facility, and I'm always out with the troops. So I happened to be there in a dress uniform. As far as the trench coat, the pea coat, the date, May the 28th, 1924. May the 28th, 1924. That was when the Border Patrol was formulated. That's when that trench coat came about. And that's 101 years of history there. So it's a nice warm coat also, perfect for the conditions here in Minnesota. So I was glad to get out with those agents and officers and ensure that that Whipple building was safe for officers entering and leaving and that type of thing. So we're going to be out on the front lines with our Border Patrol agents. That's just the way we do it in the Border Patrol. And whether it's a dress uniform or a full rough duty uniform, we're going to be out there.
That's leadership.
Definitely leadership. A last question for you. President Trump has been toying with the idea of invoking the Insurrection Act. We're told he's kind of backing off of that. How bad do you think it needs to get before the president seriously considers that option?
President Trump and Secretary Noem, and we say this every day, are very focused, and they're very aware, more aware than I think any administration that I've ever worked for, and I've worked for a lot of them, very aware of what's going on the ground. Whether they talk to ICE Border Patrol leadership, they understand exactly what those parameters are on the ground. They're keeping a very close check what's happening there. And, as far as these organized groups that attack law enforcement, what I've noticed here in Minnesota is they're very well organized, and that's something the president and Secretary Noem are looking at, that organization. They're a bit softer here in Minnesota than they were, say, in Chicago or Los Angeles. And I'm talking about the rioters themselves, very soft bunch. But we're keeping a close eye, but it's that organization. They're a bit better organized, but a lot softer. So we're going to keep a close eye on those softies, and President Trump, Secretary Noem will make a very good decision.
The softies. Gregory Bavino, you're a patriot. Thanks so much for taking the time tonight. Be safe.
Wow. So, yeah, like I said, I just wanted to play that to add, some more context to exactly what's happening overall in Minnesota, all across Minnesota, not just church service that was disrupted, but across many cities across that state. So, and like I said, what we saw right here, this is just an example of what is going to, unfortunately, probably start becoming the norm. I wouldn't say that it's going to go away completely, but if they can get judges, if they can get senators, mayors, governors on board who aren't completely sold out to anarchy and protecting these people, and actually get on board with getting just the violent, illegal people out of there, then that'll push all of us to come just a little bit. But like we already said, okay, if you're Bible believers like us, then we already know, okay, we have many books, including direct quotes from Jesus the Christ himself, that tells us about these days that are coming. The loss of love between brothers and fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, your neighbors turning against you, love of mankind, waxing cold. Then, of course, the institution of the last one world government, where it is going to be all Satan all the time. If you call yourself a believer in God and Jesus, you ain't gonna be able to do it out in the open public like that.
Right.
So, like I said, again, people, if you are a U.S. citizen, you do have the right to protest. Just follow the law when it comes to protests.
Correct.
And do not go in and disrupt people's church services, because I promise you, y'all keep that mess up, eventually you're going to run into the wrong church.
Correct.
And then you really will have something on your hands.
Sure will. It won't be no hold your hands up and don't shoot.
Exactly.
They're going to hold their hands up shooting.
Exactly. Yeah. And they better be glad, man. Especially, you remember the whole Dylan Roof situation with the church here several years ago.
Oh, correct. Yep.
Yeah. Things like that. Okay. A lot of churches, they got security guards. Mm-hmm. And like you said, if you happen to live in a state where you can legally conceal carry, all right, you got parishioners sitting right there.
Correct.
All right. Banging the tambourine with one hand, boy, and got the Glock. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. And preachers in the pulpit with them do.
And preachers in the pulpit with them. That's right.
Yeah, they locked this, and I'm telling you.
That's right. Because unfortunately, over the years, we've had a lot of incidents where you got these people, they come in just targeting like preachers in there. Okay, well,
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna do what they need to do to protect themselves.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
So I'm with you. If you're gonna protest, you're gonna do all that. Know the laws of the land. Even the scripture said, follow the laws of the land.
That's absolutely right. That is absolutely right. Until and unless they conflict with God's law. Right. If they do not conflict, well, then from God himself. And that that reverend in the first article we read, something because he's a reverend.
Come in the mighty name of the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Come in the power of God.
No, sir. You a lawyer and don't even know the laws of the land.
Don't even know the laws
of the land, and you just refuse to follow.
That's it. Because especially that part, as soon as he said he's a lawyer and an activist, I'm
right.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's clear which one of those you you lean more into.
Correct.
Yeah. So no, sir. Okay, God made it clear. Jesus made it clear when he asked the disciple, okay, whose face is on that coin? Caesar's. Okay, well then you give to Caesar what's his.
Correct.
You follow the law.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Correct.
Plain and simple. But again, even if you're not a believer, you still follow the law. Okay, look, the laws are set up not just for a believer. There ain't no different set of laws for believers and non-believers.
Yeah. Laws is laws.
Exactly.
And,
matter of fact,
and Christians Christians and believers get penalized just like anybody else. Because they don't follow the law.
Because they don't follow the law. And I even tell people, if you look at a lot of what we call our laws and things, they were obviously based off God's original laws.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So whether you
don't pay the IRS and see if you don't get a penalty. Don't give them what that was rightfully theirs or whatever. They coming for you.
They coming for you, buddy.
No Christian. That's the law of the land.
That's right. And don't go throwing your hands up, crying out for Jesus if you are a believer and you're doing that.
Because he ain't coming for your help because he already told you for the laws of the land. So now you just got to pay the penalty.
Absolutely. So again, I'm one of these type of people that say, look, you want to live in the United States, just follow the legal process it takes to live here.
The legal processes. Come on.
That's it. People have been doing it at this point over 100 years.
Mm-hmm. I thought about, I guarantee they won't go to China doing that.
Oh, heck no. No, sir.
You ain't going to China doing this ISIS stuff, whatever you're doing. You won't be going over there doing all that picketing and going on. Not over there, you won't.
No.
Not what we just got finished talking about a couple of weeks ago about them. No, you ain't going over there to do that.
That's right. That is absolutely right. That matter of fact, literally any other country on this planet, okay, yeah, you ain't just rolling up in there and start demanding rights and things because okay.
No. And you sure don't want to be put in their jail.
Not at all. If you don't know what we're talking about, matter of fact, there's a channel on YouTube, can't remember exactly what it's called now, but what they do, they show the different prisons in other countries. Man, bro, I'm trying to tell you the conditions of some of those prisons. I'm like, I would be, if I was one of their citizens, I'd almost be like, oh, okay, y'all just go ahead and take me out, because that'd be a whole lot quicker than
doing that right there.
Yeah, rotting away up in one of these hell holes. So exactly. So yeah, like I said, that's all I'm saying, people. You want to come here, you want to stay here, follow the rules of the land. For you people who got a problem with ICE and Border Patrol and thing, okay. Just because you want to protect illegal immigrants, that is not these people abusing their power or not doing their job. If you can show legit abuse of where they're stepping outside of the parameters of their job, okay, well then just provide that.
Yes, sir.
But targeting these people, calling hotels and threatening them that they better not allow them to house people, and again, telling people to target their children. Oh, okay, no.
Yeah.
Hunting down ICE officials. Okay, no, you all are going way out, and it's already been proven that a lot of these quote unquote protesters and things, these are actually paid people. They're paid to be agitators. They couldn't care less about whatever the so-called cause is.
Yeah.
If I can get paid and I'm getting paid to be a disruption and a distraction to something, that's why a lot of them are doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, doing things like that. Okay, no, you are becoming a terrorist and a mob. The very thing that, like we said, supposedly you're supposed to be so against.
Yeah.
So yeah, yep. So yep, that's all I got for this one. All right, Doc, I'm gonna let you have final words.
All I'm gonna say is all good information. Very good information. Be aware.
Be aware. That's right.
Be aware. That's all I know. Be aware. Be accountable of yourselves when it comes to knowing the laws of the land. If you're going to protest, if you're going to, whatever you're going to do, as the apostle said earlier, if you want to be an American citizen, know the laws. Before you do anything, know the laws.
That's right. Absolutely. And again, going by the definitions and the overview that we got back from looking into this, about if you need permit, okay, how you're allowed to do it, if you're allowed to do it, where you're allowed to do it. Okay, according to all that information, what we saw happen in that church in St. Paul, that there was nothing legal about any of that.
Nothing legal about that.
Yep. So I'd say we're gonna stick a pin in this one, because we'll circle back around once the Department of Justice and everybody else gets in there and do their things to see how this all turns out. But just like Dr. Bell said, this goes out especially for you believers, you leaders out there, and if you do have a church house, be aware.
Yeah, be
aware and pay attention.
Pay attention
at all times.
Yes, sir.
Because like we said,
we just say watch as well as pray.
That's absolutely what it says. And like we said, unfortunately, this will not be the last such incidents like this as far as it pertains to gathering places of worship, especially Christian places of worship.
That's right.
And that showed you right there, man, that this is the devil behind these things. You notice how they never ever do things like this to mosques or other places for other religions. Their places of worship is always churches.
Yeah.
Always Christian churches. So yes, be aware, good people, be aware.
Yes, sir. Take this knowledge, take this understanding. The scripture said, he that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit of God is saying to the church. And this is not spiritual. Naturally, too. Take heed. Hear. You got an ear? Hear what's being said and what's being released, the knowledge, the truth, the awareness. That's all we're trying to. We're just instilling the awareness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, as with all things, we're going to continue to stay watchful, stay prayerful. Again, I want to thank my bro, Dr. Bell, for joining me this evening talking about this. I want to thank all you all out there. And of course, as you saw, if you would do all the usual good stuff, like, subscribe, comment, share, let other people know about this who may not be aware of it, or other people who you know definitely need to be aware of it. Links to the audio version will be in the description on the video. So you want to hear this again on the go, or if you want to watch it again on the go, video and audio, both completely free. So watch, share, download, all to your heart's content. All right, absolutely free. Okay,
awesome.
So, on behalf of us, good people, stay safe, stay watchful, stay prayerful, and we will see you guys again when we see you.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.